You're listening to the Decorate Podcast with Patrick Ali and Chad Poole.
What's up, dude?
How are you, man?
Oh, just loving life today.
Yeah.
Feeling really good. I'm feeling, I woke up this morning and I felt...
Did you feel a year older?
I felt a year older.
It's Patrick's birthday. Yesterday was Patrick's birthday.
Yeah, yesterday was Patrick's birthday. Why am I talking third person? Yesterday was my birthday.
That's what hosts do.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I'm the big old 2'8" now.
How's the body holding up?
You would ask me that 5 years ago, I would have said, hey, it's holding up pretty good.
Yeah.
But clearly, not so much.
Okay.
No, it's fun, though. It's cool. You know what's funny about birthdays is that having kids, automatically ramp up. I mean, being in a relationship and family and stuff is really cool, but having little kids and having birthdays, they're super excited. They want, my son and my daughter both made me cards yesterday. I got a cool picture on my desk that they took a picture and just made me one for here. And they checked up on me, too. They're like, hey, we want to see that picture that we made you.
Made sure you didn't.
Well, they know I'm infamous for putting stuff in my backpack and forgetting about it.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't love them. It's just I
forget about
stuff.
You forget about your kids?
No, I don't forget about my kids.
So why would you put something that they made
What's the
personalized
older one's
for you?
name again?
Landon.
It's Landon. Its name's Landon.
I'm just kidding.
No. But yeah, it's fun, man, because you get to come home and have fun with them. And I'll tell you a quick story about yesterday. I kind of let you in on this, but we'll let the audience in on it. I might have had a snake.
Oh, that's right.
Under my deck at home. So I get this call from Amanda saying hey, my dogs. I have 2 dachshunds, and they're German burrowing. They're made to hunt and burrow in the ground and pull out badgers and stuff.
What do they hunt?
Badgers and stuff like that. That's what they're supposed. That's what they're.
Isn't a badger bigger than the dog?
I mean, I'm not saying that it's always a fair fight. I'm just saying that's what they're what they do.
I'm thinking wiener dog, and I'm bringing up badgers.
Right. Well, anyways, they keep going under the deck, or they're trying to get under the deck, and they found something. And we have you get rabbits in your yard and deer or whatever, wherever you live. And so I get this call from Amanda, and she's like, "Hey, Landon thinks he saw a snake under the deck." Now, there was a story a few months ago that 2 people that randomly were around our house released alligators, or alligators went missing. And I'm not saying they're Nile crocodiles or anything; they're not huge, but that was a thing, and I think that was already taken care of. So, and naturally, I'm thinking, oh, okay, there might be a gardener snake or something under the deck. Well, we figured it out. It was a hose. It was a piece of hose that I cut up with the lawnmower one day.
That makes a lot of sense. When you first brought that to my attention, I'm like, there's snakes, maybe garter snake.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it wasn't an alligator.
It wasn't an alligator.
Dachshunds would be gone.
No, because we got the other 2 that'll take care of
That's right. You have a family of dogs.
Yeah. We have a small sanctuary. No, we have 4 dogs. We have a Vizsla Pit, and then we have a Beagle, and we have 2 Dachshunds. And,
strangest mix of dogs ever.
They are a strange mix, but it's funny because the bigger ones are so nice and sweet. Riley is the best. She'll come and lay on your lap, and she wants to be pet. And then Maddie is she's the terrorizer, man. But she's also the alpha. Yeah. She's the first one, so she's the alpha of the group, and she kind of whatever she says goes. So when she starts, honing in on something, all the other ones are well,
they perk up.
We're here to help. Yeah. What do you need? So.
They're part of the pack.
But all together, everybody's survived. Everybody's alive, and there was no snake.
Well, happy belated birthday.
Thank you, man.
And that's very sweet that your kids would make you a card. My wife actually just had her birthday.
That's right.
July 16th, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And had no idea what to get her. As we get older, it's just kind of a struggle of... I want to say, here's $50, but she's going to spend that anyways. Let's just be real. Love you, honey.
Yeah.
But no, I kind of struggled for a little bit, and then I found something that was kind of personal, and she appreciated it. And the day after, our babysitter, I came in and I saw this card, and I failed to get her a card. And I saw this card. Our babysitter got a card, and her and my daughter made a card for... Totally failed.
No, man.
But now I know.
Your gift sucked then.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
It's awful. And it's not like I could have made a card with her last year because she was, 6-7 months. I mean,
Yeah.
I failed.
Well, you should. I mean, you can come back from that.
Well, this is how you learn.
This is how you
podcasts, babysitters, doing
lessons
stuff.
learned.
Yeah,
Podcasting has become therapy for us, I think.
Next year, honey, I got you.
We're going to Fiji. I get a lot of calls, man, that I win cruises all the time.
Oh.
And all I have to do is put all my, sensitive, personal information in there. I haven't gone on one yet, but they're going to be pretty sweet. I think.
Mine are mostly for car warranties. And what did I get the other day? I got one from...
I don't know.
No, it was the Social Security Administration, remember? I was outside.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, I called them back. I was upset.
Yeah, you were kind of upset about that one. Well,
you can't be playing games.
That's it. Well, listen, we had a really cool last episode, and I was really happy that Lily, obviously took the time again because we did re-record that one, and I just think it was really cool. The social media platform is growing at a rapid rate, and I don't want anybody to miss out. So just to say in the beginning of the podcast is like YouTube, the Decorate podcast, we're pretty much everywhere. That's our tag. So Decorate, DECOR, the number 8 podcast on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook. It's tagged in all of our posts. Find us, follow us, subscribe. Give us feedback. We got some good feedback from a couple people. Got a feedback from, and her username didn't have her last name in it, so just put Amanda. Okay. Was it? And it's not my wife Amanda. It was a different Amanda. Said that she really liked the last episode. She really appreciated it. So at least we're giving that was our goal. Is we wanted to make sure that we were giving some type of value back to people. So
yeah, lighthearted enough to where we can have some fun and humanize ourselves, but at the same time give actual content that people could benefit from. I think is very important. One of the things that I did notice was the spelling of the name. Mm-hmm. I'm glad you spelled it, Decker 8.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are saying, well, where can we find this? I'm looking for Decorate Podcast everywhere. It's DECOR, the number 8.
Yeah, just like our, and that was, the concept of that name came from our Caesar magazine. Yep. That a lot of people get at shows. So that's kind of where I pulled the name from originally. But yeah, I did not think of that.
Well,
I didn't think
it's a great name, and it's all over the walls now. So too late. You got to find it with the number 8.
Yeah. So, but please like, subscribe, share our content, make sure that more people see it, because here's the thing. At the end of the day, every episode, it might not be specifically tailored to you, whether you're an end user, small-time crafter, you're a large business, a screen printer, but there may be people in your network that do want to see it and do want to appreciate it. And there's a lot of other podcasts that are out there in our industry. Well, not a lot, but there's a few, the select ones that I know of that, like, they do really, really good work too. And so just sharing that content across all platforms, I think, is super important.
Yeah, and I think we started to cross-post on Reddit a little bit, which is kind of cool, and you can get create some threads and get unique with that. But I agree. Even though we tailored some episodes towards certain markets, there's still probably more than likely content that you're either going to laugh at us with us, or there will be some other content shed in there that relates to you somehow.
100%. So just make sure that you're sharing it. We want to obviously add more value. So the more that we interact with you, the audience, the better this podcast becomes for us, better it is for you. And ultimately, we get to keep doing this a long time.
Yay.
All right. So check it out. I just got a text. Mandy is in right now waiting for us.
Wow.
So we're pretty excited about this one.
We are.
Mandy Graham from Sparkleberry decided she, graced us with her presence all last week. This obviously we record about a week ahead of everything. So last week she was in our office, did a live with Joe, taught him about paper crafts. Shout out Joe for going above and beyond and doing the card that he made before he ever even had to do it. Yeah. It turned out really cool. Lily did obviously a live on Instagram. Go check that out. That was a Sparkleberry lunch tote that she got at Michael's. Mandy's big in Sparkleberry, is really, really big in Michael's. Has been a really cool partner of ours, so we're really excited to hop into this episode. So let's get her on, and then we'll be right back, okay? Cool. This episode of the Decorate Podcast is brought to you by Caesar North America. Caesar North America is a world leader in heat transfer vinyl as well as pressure-sensitive vinyl. And listen, guys, I use Caesar products in all of my personal business, and I can tell you that the quality and longevity is simply unmatched. If you want to learn more about Caesar North America, simply go into the App Store, download the Caesar North America app, and don't forget to hit the drop-down menu and click Find a Distributor to find out where you can find Caesar products today.
Awesome.
Cool. Mandy from Sparkleberry, how you doing?
Hey.
I'm doing great. So happy to be here.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah, virtually.
Wait,
Virtually,
how about, thank you for having us. I was going to say thanks for coming on, but it's really thank you for having us.
Yeah. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Thank you both for having me.
Our
Truly,
pleasure.
This is so exciting.
Is it weird?
My very first podcast.
No.
Awesome.
Oh, is this really your first podcast appearance?
Yeah.
Mine too.
Yeah.
And you chose us?
I did. You guys are the lucky winner.
I feel so special now. This is awesome.
Yeah.
This is like the new normal, though. I feel like it's going to be, we were talking about it in the last couple episodes, just virtual everything. You know, it's kind of, it's cool, but it kind of sucks at the same time because you can't get that in-person feel, especially like going to trade shows and stuff like that. You know, and I think we just kind of start off with it. Like, have you seen a huge shift in what you're able to do? I mean, obviously you do a lot of live, so a lot of yours is virtual, but that face-to-face is really what I think a lot of people are missing.
Yeah, I do think that times are really, really strange, and I'm just using it. We're just rolling with it. Like, how, like, from the beginning, we've been brainstorming how to not capitalize on it at all, but like just be there and fill those holes that people may need where it comes to positivity and inspiration and that sort of thing. But I've definitely, you know, we closed the stores, my brick and mortars, for just a few weeks. And, you know, that was stinky. And people were like, when are you going to open again? And we got open pretty much right back up like 2 weeks later. And honestly, we have seen a big spike in sales. And I think it is due to people being at home and getting time now to actually craft. Yeah.
And I noticed that too. One thing we talked about a lot is that, you know, people now, regardless of like the stimulus check thing and all that, I think a lot of people, you're right, they have enough time to now sit back and find something that they enjoy. Because I think crafting to everyone is just about exploring your creativity. And you get so bored sitting at home. And, you know, the nice thing is there's YouTube, and obviously, like, you have your lives. Joe and Lily do their lives. There's so many personalities right now that you can find that inspiration, you know, and it gets kind of tough too, because, you know, folks don't necessarily want to spend a ton of money. And that's why I'm glad that there's people like us, there's people like Michael's, where you don't necessarily have to break the bank to kind of get in and become creative in a way. And which I thought was very interesting, the live you did with Joe of the paper crafts, because I never thought about, I mean, obviously I know about it, but I never thought about doing like custom cards and stuff. My birthday was yesterday. I got a custom card from my kids.
Happy birthday.
But I didn't get, thank you, but I didn't get a custom card with Sparkleberry patterns. So that's okay.
You know, it really is just going back to like what you said about creativity, especially for women.
Yeah.
I believe that creativity and being able to create anything with your hands is really, really imperative to our actual self-care.
Yeah.
There's something innate that we have in us that, whether it's cooking or gardening or even cleaning, I don't mean that in like a, you know,
no, I understand.
sexist way at all. It's just, we really love to create. And whereas I love to go and shop and buy something that I really, really want, it's so awesome and satisfying for about 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But when you create something, it fulfills a part of you and just really, really, it just does something beautiful.
Yeah.
And it increases your confidence. I know my self-esteem and my self-confidence has it's just grown so much in the last 5 years that I've been doing what I do. I think it has a lot to do with just finding, you know, your people, your tribe,
right,
who accept you and love you and will embrace your creativity no matter how crazy and weird it is.
Yeah.
It's so right now it's just, you know, a really beautiful time. What's really ironic is right before all of this started happening, I created a new brand, and I was like writing a book, and it's still going to happen eventually, but I had identified that it's a huge problem that we don't have time anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody has time to do anything. That's what you hear from everybody. I don't have time. And it really is getting in the way of like who we are as like the happiness. I think that the happiness inside of people is affected by not having enough time to even think about what you want to do. So I created this idea in this brand called Create Slow, and it was all about doing simple crafts and doing it and being very aware of the material you're touching, and the environment, and how you're affecting the environment. And I was so excited, and just truly right in the middle of that huge idea that I had, I bought the domain. Like I'm going to do it one day, but we don't have that problem anymore, right? Like,
no, now we don't have time.
I do. I don't ever have any problems, but finding something that I need to do, I stay very busy. But actually creating Slow all of a sudden became not something that, you know, people would even, I wouldn't think that people would be focused on slowing down. Now we're more like, what are we going to do? So that's on the back burner. But it's just ironic.
That's funny. Well, that's super empowering too. Like you were hitting on the female domain of adding that personalized touch and having that satisfaction that comes with it. The Create Slow thing is very interesting because right now you're very busy. We're very busy, partly because of you. And it's a good problem to have. We just can't create slow right now. We're go. But I think that's really interesting, and I think it's fun. And if you're doing this Create Slow, is this like a project where you can walk away from? Is this, and I don't want to give away all the secrets because I know this isn't new yet, but it's very interesting.
Yeah, I believe that it's something that I've not seen anybody else do. There are things like slow beauty and that sort of thing, and just being more mindful. But this is actually taking creativity and putting it all together with just being mindful and crafty at the same time. So. You know, I believe that the way I'm going to do it is proprietary to my quirky thinking. So I think it's okay. I'll get back to it. It was actually, it's a book I'm writing. And so it's project oriented. And I really look forward to getting back to it. I will get there. I just think that right now I was like, okay, now we're really, really busy.
It's chaos.
Well, and you made a small mistake already, is that you put it out in the atmosphere. So now you don't have a choice. You have to.
Yeah,
your audience is going to beat you up if you
don't. The demand is there.
So I love all of that. I want to take a step back of like how you even got into, I mean, everybody knows you, you know, from your social platform, like I said, your lives and your patterns and all the cool things that you have. Where does that even start? Like, where do you even start in your life, or where were you in your life when you even decided to do this?
Well, this is, it's a beautiful story, one that's actually so surreal to me that I'm even here in this place. And you guys can edit out whatever you want to edit out, but I'll tell you, I won't tell you the long version. I'll tell you the medium version.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so in 2015, I was in nursing school at Kennesaw State University, which is one of the hardest nursing schools to get into.
Okay.
And I had worked on my getting into that school for 6 years. I had 3 small children. I was taking classes like 2 at a time. I had to make A's because it's just super competitive program. And I finally got in. And for some weird reason, I decided that I wanted to be class representative. Again, mother of 3. I think at the time, Jason was training for a brand new job out of state. So he was gone for months.
Oh, wow.
And I don't have any clue why I thought I could be needed to be class representative. But because I was class representative, I was on the student nursing board. And the fundraising person actually quit her position. And right before she quit, she had purchased a silhouette portrait. Nobody knew how to use it. For some reason, I was deemed the person that needed to learn how to use it. And I literally didn't even want to touch it. I was like, don't, I'm not crafty. I'm not creative. Don't give it to me. I'm not your girl. But somehow I still ended up with it. And I spent that summer, we had the first summer off from nursing school. And I spent that summer learning how to use it. And within 3 months of us selling stethoscope decals and sorority decals, we had made $10,000 for the student nursing board.
Wow.
And that's just decals. It was like pure profit.
Just cut only.
The adhesive decals.
Yeah.
So at that point I was like, okay, I would like to train somebody else to do this. And I want to get started and do my own Etsy business to support my family, or not support it, but just add a little bit to the income and just supplement a little bit. And I've always had the little bug in me to be an entrepreneur. And I've always from, the whole time that I've been an adult, I've always wanted to, I was the one that would buy into those like work at home schemes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember.
Oh yeah. I got boxes of inventory
huge...
in my basement right now, so.
Yeah. I was like, surely there's something I can do keeping my kids at home and can work from home.
Yeah.
And I ran after all kinds of things trying to figure it out. Well, anyway, so to be able to find an avenue to sell, which was Etsy at the time, was really cool. And I had a goal of $30 in sales a day. That was my goal. And I remember when I opened my bank account, I was sitting there looking at the lady, and she was like, so how much in sales do you think you'll do a month? And I said, $500 in revenue a month. And I thought I was lying through my teeth. Like,
really?
You don't want the bank people to think you're opening.
Yeah,
of course.
And sure enough, so my numbers looked like this. My first month, I think I sold like $20 on Etsy in revenue. And then the next month I sold like $400. And then by the third month, I was at $900 in sales in that month, just selling decals. And I was like, wow, there's really something to this. So I got really, really excited, started exploring different vinyl, and ran across pattern vinyl. And I fell in love. I was like, oh my gosh, if people love solid colors, they're going to love their monograms and their sorority things in pattern. And so I started ordering pattern vinyl from everywhere I could find. And what I found was it was terrible customer service. The patterns that they were using were stolen from the internet. Nobody was coming up with their original designs. I loved the brand that I was purchasing, but I also knew they were just basically black market prints that people were stealing from online and printing them, right? So I had a little stirring inside of me about that. I didn't love that, but I loved them. They were so beautiful and vibrant. So about 4 or 5 months into my Etsy career, I decided I just got fed up with the bad customer service. And I realized that if they were so terrible at getting my orders out and communicating with me, that must mean they were way too busy. So I said, there's a need. There's a need for great, customer service and somebody to create original designs. So we set out, and I went on a designer search because I knew nothing about graphic design, nothing at all. And I didn't know how to make patterns. I wouldn't even know where to begin at that point. And so I ran like this contest on this website platform that's for graphic design and different things like that. And I accidentally gave it to my lead designer, who is still with me today and is the artist. Yeah. She's the artist of all of our favorites. Like, I guarantee you, if you said that's my favorite, it would be Nani's. So
that's it. Nani.
She is fabulous, and she is just the most wonderful, sweet, kind-hearted person. And she's been with me since the beginning.
Shout out Nani.
And my goal was to create this boutique-y brand for women, because have you guys identified that, like, even though this industry is predominantly, your customer is predominantly a woman, all of the businesses are owned by men.
Yeah,
so,
I've noticed that.
You don't say.
I've noticed
it's true.
It. Yeah.
And I was like, so, and all of them have like, TTSL signed supply. Like, it's all these just basic, just not fun names. And so I really wanted to create a boutique brand, and I wanted to create patterns that people would get just as inspired and excited about as they did about, say, Lily Pulitzer or Vera Bradley or, Kate Spade. I wanted them to love it. And that's what I've just realized in like the last couple of months. Like, we've done that. We've created a brand where people are literally so excited to see what we roll out next. And I just can't even believe it. So just to end that story, basically I started my business, started the pattern vinyl part of it by the end of 2015, and it just skyrocketed. And it was just so amazing, but I was really, really busy. Still, my husband was out of town and training for another job, and I was still being mom to 3 kids and nursing school, which by itself is literally so.
Like, do you have like 8 arms?
Yeah, right.
Like, how do you? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's horrid. So I ended up about 6 more months went by, and I realized I wasn't going to be able to maintain
all of it
intensity.
Yeah.
And so I had to choose. And so with a 4.0 and 1 year left before I received my nursing degree, I quit.
Wow.
I graduated myself. Yeah, is what I say. Yeah.
Well, I think you made the right move.
Yeah. It seems like you might have made a step in the right direction there.
Yeah.
I think so. It's so bizarre though that it would be nursing that would get, you know, a portrait, a silhouette portrait in my hands. And it's just, I definitely don't believe that it's like a coincidence. I really believe that it was meant to be. Yeah,
that's awesome.
For sure.
Well, and it's, you know what, I actually, something resonated with me that you say is that, you know, obviously the end user is typically catered to the female audience, but a lot of the business owners are typically men. Similar story on my side is that, you know, my wife owns a business. We are end users too. So, but I actually had someone that asked me to do a live with them, and we won't say any names or anything, but asked me to do a live and said, hey, just so you know, I've told our group that you use your wife's Cricut. And so it's almost like there's just that vibe there that like men can't craft and women can't own businesses. I don't understand it.
A stigma.
Yeah, there's just a stigma there. And so it's incredible to see somebody that's been so successful but also so confidently successful. You know what I mean? Not hiding behind, you know, anything or any walls or any name or any, you are your own image and your own brand. And so it's very cool to see.
That wasn't easy either because to go from being a stay-at-home mom and student, okay, because at the time I was like, 33, going back to school. I mean, just in itself, that can feel very intimidating. Most of the people around me were much younger than me. Yeah. And so I don't really know how. I just probably, I mean, most likely it was all my faith, basically, that pushed me forward because I didn't believe necessarily that it would get this big. I just wanted to believe it. And I needed to believe that I was going to be able to do this. But it was a very, very crazy thing that I took that leap because it was kind of out of character. But then I think I created a monster because now I'm like, I can do anything. Yeah. If I want to, I'm going to do it.
That's it.
That's awesome. Do you see a lot of those drives, those same drives that you had kind of early on though in your kids now? I mean, are they wanting to create and they wanting to explore their creativity more so than I guess the typical, you know, American teenager or millennial is about, you know, sitting on your phone and on video games all day? But do you see them kind of getting that bug or that itch?
Absolutely. So Gage is my youngest. I have 3 kids, 2 older girls, and then Gage is 12. And Gage is my crafter. So he's the one he's the one that's done his own projects. He made a shirt that said, I made this shirt because I can.
I like it.
Really cute. And so that's been really cool to see how he loves to get in there. And it probably has something to do with him being techie.
Yeah.
And then the girls, my oldest is almost 18 and she is actually on her way to starting her own business in the next couple of weeks, actually. She's preparing and has her own little product. And then Maddie's the middle one, who's the one I was talking about. She's almost 14 and she started, I told you before we started recording that she started her own little YouTube channel without even telling me at first. And one of her videos just went viral and it's really amazing to see.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you said that because I made the comment the other day to Maddie. I said, you know, I hope that that my influence has helped you understand that you can do anything you put your mind to. And I hope that you seeing mommy go after the things that she wants to do. I hope that's inspired you. And she got so offended because she thought I was trying to take credit for her.
Oh.
And I was like, no. You literally, you're the one who did that. But I just hope but I think that was really enlightening to me because she doesn't know any different.
Yeah.
Right.
If you want to do something, you just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah. So even though in the moment I was kind of like, hey, I should get some of that credit, for being the inspiration. And she was like, no, if I want to do it, I do it.
Right.
This was my effort. So it was just a funny moment. But
well, subconsciously, I think you're doing a great job, obviously leading by example,
Thank you.
which is awesome. And I kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit. You were kind of where you left off was you saw the revenue just kept climbing.
Yeah.
Discovered patterns, discovered this offering would be fantastic to your customers. But you didn't stop there. You kept growing, right?
No.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about that of how did you market yourself and how did you see opportunities in other things such as you've got garment offerings now, you've got file offering is even unique kind of to the industry.
Yeah.
Accessories, etc. How did you basically not take your foot off the pedal and get to where you're at right now?
Yeah.
If you could expand on that a little bit, that'd be interesting.
It's not easy because there are some days, I usually work 80-hour work weeks, many days where I'll wake up at 7 and don't end until 11 o'clock at night. And that's sometimes without eating. Like, it's not a super healthy lifestyle that I live. I have to really struggle and make sure that happens. Like those, little things like eating and showering.
Yeah.
But
everyday life stuff. Yeah.
You're put together. That's what's important. That's okay.
Well, I do end up in the end just somehow getting it all together.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know how it happens. I think that it's just, like I said, it was meant to be.
Yeah.
And I just don't stop.
Yeah.
I just don't quit. Like, I've started things and they haven't worked, and it's like you can't get hung up on those failures, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But it's just a learning process, and just being okay with if something does fail or something flops, that it's really okay.
Yeah.
Because you just learned what doesn't work. So in the beginning, I ran after those small business owners who were selling. I didn't go and poach them or email them, but I really started talking very openly about copyrights and about how you need to be super, super careful and respectful of other people's artwork, and that we were the only pattern vinyl seller at the time who made our own artwork. And I was really big about educating those small business owners that, hey, just because somebody else sold you this does not mean it's okay to sell your product now, because guess what? If they come after you, if they come after the store owner, they're going to come after you too. Right. It's very possible. And there are very hefty fines that you sometimes have to pay. And even going as far as having to reimburse every single one of your customers.
Right. Yeah.
Ever.
Yep.
Like, it's really scary. So that was my first platform, just saying, you guys, let's stop this. I'm giving you commercial license to use my prints in your products, and nobody else, no big brands are licensing vinyl right now. So if you're buying something that is, Lily or something like that, that's not okay.
Right. Yeah.
Lily does not, license it. So I started with that. And then I think the other big benchmark and the thing that really pushed us forward is that 4 years ago, nobody was crafting live. I don't know if you guys remember Facebook back then, but nobody was crafting live because it was scary.
Yeah.
Because things go wrong all the time.
Right.
So,
we talked about failure on our last podcast too, is that you're putting yourself out there for everybody to critique all the time.
Yes. And I was a very private person before this. I still am, but letting people in was super, super scary to me. And letting somebody in whenever, and I didn't even really feel like a real crafter at the time. I really felt like I didn't know really what I was doing. So it was just really like girl hangout time, and hey, I'm going to show you how to do this little thing I learned. And that is how we got really rolling, is when people got to know who I was and really got to see the face behind the brand and started laughing with us and having fun with us on those lives. And although they can be very exhausting, and still to this day, I get super stressed sometimes during them and before them. I just have always never put on a mask. Like I am who I am. This is going to play out how it's going to play out.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for a super professional, tutorial, this is probably not where you're going to find it today.
Well, and we talk about that a lot here, just in, one of the reasons why I love when Joe does his lives and Lily does his lives is that, a lot of times on YouTube, things can be edited, right? Things can be touched up. Things can be removed if needed. When you're on a live, you are out in front of somebody, and they have all the responsibility in the world to kind of keep you in check. So what you're able to then do is realize, hey, I'm also, not only am I giving you a cool product or a cool end result, I'm also giving you a little bit of entertainment, but I'm also kind of giving you the tech support so you don't have to call me later. When something does go wrong, you can go back to that live and say, oh yeah, she screwed up the pattern didn't mask properly here, or it didn't adhere properly here. What did Mandy do to fix that? What did Lily do, or what did Joe do to fix that situation to make it work for them? So although yes, you put yourself out there to be scrutinized, you're also putting yourself out there as an educator in our industry to let people understand and let people know, that you can make mistakes, and sometimes you'll waste some product, but all in all, the end result is what's the most important.
Well, we were.
Right.
That's funny because we were just talking about that in the intro to the show. Is having a podcast like this, and obviously we banter quite a bit, we poke fun at each other, but we also humanize ourselves. And I think that you've kind of took that same approach to, hey, we're going to make mistakes. I talked about this plenty of times before, but in this industry, in the garment industry, we are by far our own worst critics.
100%.
Right? You will look at a left chest like this, and it's usually 6 feet away for people that aren't watching. But no, I think it's important to let people in and let people understand that you're not perfect, and your offering may not be perfect, or whatever you're doing. And it's good to show that we're not all super uptight, super professional, which obviously we can be in the right situation. Yeah. But I think it also allows your audience to loosen up a little bit and say, this is fun, right?
Totally. I mean, if you think about it, isn't it just so much more effort to try to make everything perfect?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we coined this phrase whenever, and it just really kind of was an accident, but we coined this phrase, it's fine. And so we'll be like, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. And one of the products that, I know we're going to get to later that is in Michael's right now actually has that on there. It's a pineapple that says it's fine. And we also have little pins in our box this month that say it's fine. And because I took over this like nurturing role because I realized that I was scared to be creative. I was scared to let people know I was trying to be creative. And I did some research, and around the like year 7, like when you're 7 years old, is when we start becoming ashamed or nervous about our creativity. Before that, we literally think we can do anything.
Right.
Like if we want to be a doctor, if we want to be an actor or a singer, and we can create these insane stories, and but something happens when we start growing up that we're not any less creative. We just lose our confidence. So part of my role and what I want to do is inspire people, and particularly women, to just take a chance and just don't worry about what's going to happen. It's probably not going to work out just exactly how you envisioned, but there's something so freeing in saying, I'm going to try this, and it could be a complete train wreck, or it could be really amazing. But no matter what, there's lots of smiling, laughing along the way. And I just became so driven to be on those lives with my, when I craft by myself, it feels wrong. And like, it's like, there's a whole other aspect of being with everybody, and like the pressure behind, okay, what if it doesn't? What happens if it doesn't work? And of course we still get upset. Like if I have a low signal, that's one of the things that really can shake me up, because people will be saying, oh, you're freezing. And I'm like, I can't do anything about the internet. And I'm still my own camera person. So I still don't have anybody that knows more than me on my team about photography and about videography. So I'm not trained in that. So that's a whole other aspect. But yeah, I definitely love getting out there I love nurturing our audience to be creators and to be confident in that, and just to give yourself a break,
And what do you find the hardest? Do you find creating something new to be more difficult, or more of, I would say, like the background of, or the behind the scenes stuff as the hardest? Of like, you got to figure out how to videotape, you got to figure out what cameras are going to work when, is my microphone working, is my signal proper? I mean, what do you find the most difficult for you right now, because you have this platform that no matter what you're reaching, even in a live, 200 people in a live is not like out of the norm for you, you know what I mean? Or more than that even. So do you start with the technology as you're like, okay, I'm going to go to Facebook Live and we're just going to let it grow naturally? Or do you try to not manufacture that up front, but really do your research and your due diligence early on?
Okay, so definitely, if you know me, you know that I'm not a huge researcher. I mean, I do every now and then. I'm not a big planner.
Yeah.
I am, and you guys have seen that and prepping for some of this. Like, I really believe in just letting it, like just winging it, because I find you get the most authentic and most entertaining situations out of that. So I just went where I felt comfortable. I know that my audience is right now is mainly on Facebook. And I did a few classes, read a few books. I love Gary Vaynerchuk.
Okay, Gary V. Shout out Gary V.
Yes, he is a genius, and I use the knowledge that I've learned from him so much in my business, and I'd love to just get my toes stepped on by him every now and then. So I'll turn him on and listen to him yell at me for not creating content. But I would say that the most challenging part of what I do is not I feel like I should create more. If I had my way, my job would be to sit there on a live every single day and create projects. That's what I want to do.
Right.
And I, because I am still like the CEO and the, running, like trying to manage the team and without really any business background, I don't have a ton of time to be the main content creator, but that's my dream. Like I can't wait till one day that's what I do all day long. So that would be my biggest challenge, is creating that content. And I do have a very strong desire to be the more educational one, where it's a more polished video that may be faster and just more to the point for everybody, because I do know that the knowledge I have now that I've acquired could be very, 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 very helpful to new crafters and even, more experienced crafters. Yeah. So that's definitely, if I were to be able to change anything in our business model right now, it would be put me in a room with my, my dream box behind me all day long and let me just do this, and I would never ever tire of it.
Yeah. Well, that's probably super exciting for your listeners and your watchers, that you just don't have enough time. And you've got 8 different hats you're wearing, and but you're always thinking of content, so that's pretty interesting. A lot of times that's my struggle is, okay, we've done this, done this. What's next? And to wrap your head around it, sometimes that's the biggest struggle on our end.
Well, and it's tough too. When you have to go from not only you're doing lives, you're building a brand, you're managing a team. There's got to be some separation in there, for even like we talked about a little bit before, for self-care, you know what I mean? And making sure that mentally you can sustain all of this stuff long term. And I think that's where the partnerships kind of come in. Like, I want to get in obviously into the Michaels and our partnership and relationship with you. But, do you ever lean on, whether it's your own employees or it's your partnerships, to kind of help take some of that workload off, to be able to create more and do more?
Yes. And actually we're in a transitional phase right now. I feel like it's just a constant process of growth. So it's not like I just, say, okay, as of July 1st, this is what,
this is when I can breathe.
Right.
Yeah. It has to be gradual, because I have a lot of type A in me, even though I present as a type B personality. Yeah. But I have a very specific way that I want things done, but yet it's hard to identify. So for instance, like graphic design, for like, if it's a quote or something that we're throwing up on social media one day, somebody on my team can create it and it'll be under my instruction and how I've told them to do it. But I don't know, there's just something about how I do it that I really like, that I know that it's mine. So it's very difficult for me to fully let anything go. Yeah. And I think my team members would agree with me that, I rear my head a little too often, and try to take things back. And so that, that's a constant struggle with me, is the little bit of control freak that I am. I just really care about the brand. Sparkleberry is very special to me. And I just never want anything to be just completely just thrown together, right. Unless it's me throwing it together, because it typically works out. But then it's okay because it's me.
Yeah. Well, and I noticed that too a lot, even with like Johan, for example. Johan's our fearless leader here. You obviously know Johan and Brett very well. Is that it's tough sometimes to give up. It's not giving up power for things, but it's also allowing others to, trusting that they're going to do it the way that you see a vision in your head, right? Yeah. And it's very easy to take some of that stuff back, but also, for somebody like Johan, who has built this, built what we know today as Caesar North America, is like, you put so much of your heart and your soul and you make it your passion project. It gets tough to then, have to pass that off, because you're not necessarily, not even so much of a conflict of ideas. It's more or less,
it's your baby.
is this going to be me? Yeah. At the end of the day, will this be me? Is this going to show me in a way that I'm going to love? And we talked about it actually, even preparing for this podcast, and when we started working on it, is that like we have to feel good about it. You know, It can't just be, hey, our audience loves it. If I come in here one day and I'm up behind the microphone, which we've seen in a couple episodes that it's happened, it's like, if you don't feel good about what you're doing, or you're not 100% sold on it, or you wouldn't go to the store and buy it yourself or listen to it yourself, why the hell would anybody else do it?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What drives them to do that as well? So
exactly. And speaking to, the partnership, one of the things that has really, really helped me, and the reason I chose Caesar as a partner, honestly, is because you guys, you get marketing. Like, you totally, your marketing is exactly what I aspire to be as well. You guys are fun, lighthearted, educational, knowledgeable, like, and just the leader in the industry. So the reason that I originally decided to align myself with you guys is because you're the best at what you do. And so you guys do make my job easier, because I know, like, for instance, Sparkle, the amazing Sparkle that just rolled out that I love so much. It's a comforting to know that on launch day, I don't have to necessarily be on my A game that day.
Right.
Like, if there's something crazy going on, because you guys are going to create awesome content that I'm going to be able to share.
Yeah.
And that is so comforting to know that basically I have you guys on my marketing team,
right?
Unofficially.
Right. Yeah.
So,
and vice versa too. I mean, obviously, for us, we try to share any partner that we have. I mean, that's an extension of you. So any partner that you have is truly that extension. And, it's obviously fun to watch you teach Joe how to do paper projects, and for him to do it, which he did he did a very good job, by the way. I will say that.
Actually, he made that whole project way better than it was going to be. Yeah. Because when we added the Caesar Glow PSV, the glow in the dark vinyl, it was like, it was so awesome. And it made the whole thing more fun. So Joe always has a tendency to add just a little special, shine.
Add a touch to it. Yeah.
That we do.
Well, and for anybody that doesn't know, you unfortunately were supposed to be here last week.
I know.
But all the stuff kind of going on right now, you weren't able to. So that's why we're doing a remote, a Zoom podcast right now. But obviously always appreciate you inserting yourself where you're asked to help, us, so that we can help you too. So what do we want to get into, man? You want to get into some segments, or you got anything else on the...
Well, selfishly, I have to bring up Michaels. So
Chad's the Michaels guy here, guys.
No. That's Mr. Wheatley. But I do have a part in managing that account, and I have been printing your patterns for years now. So I want to know from you what that relationship's like, what that collaboration's like with Michaels, and how has it been so successful? And why do you think it's been so successful even during the pandemic? I mean, we've seen record sales this year so far.
Awesome.
And I think part of that is because you continue to grow and continue to expand your offering. But what's that collaboration like, and what has that brought to you?
Gosh, it's still so, I know I've already said it's surreal, but it really is surreal to me, and how that all played out. I met Caesar at the All Things Silhouette Conference in 2016. And it was our first year to attend the conference as a vendor. And it was the craziest thing. They opened the doors to the vendor hall and people swarmed. I mean, like, the entire conference was in our booth. And I'm not kidding. You'll have to ask Brett and Joe. They were there. But the entire conference was like in our booth for an hour and a half. And we sold out of 80% of our product in the first hour and a half.
Wow.
It was nuts. So I think that got Brett's attention.
Yeah, something's working.
Yeah, so he came over and he's like, looking at the vinyl and he's smelling it.
We all do it. We all do it.
There's an ongoing joke, by the way, that Brett does smell every piece of vinyl because he can actually get the like regional location of a vinyl by smelling it. He smells the adhesive. He smells the vinyl. That's great. I love that he did that.
Well, what's funny is that I do the same thing.
Yeah, we all do it. Yep.
Yeah. If you're
just you don't. You don't know what you're talking about.
I can't identify it with a region, but yes, when you add the ink to the vinyl, it does have a certain smell about it, and if you really notice it whenever you print like 600 of them, like we do sometimes, and it's all in one stack, and you're like, wow, that's a strange smell. But usually most people don't have 600 sheets of it, so it's not as bad. But so we were, it was weird because I would get some shipments of this mystery HTV I was using to print onto, and sometimes it would smell really, really bad.
Really?
Like, and it smelled like fish. Okay. So I remember that being the conversation I had with Brett, and I'm like, what, like all of a sudden this shipment that we last printed on, it smells like fish. And he said, it's probably because it was shipped over with fish.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my gosh.
It's overseas sometimes.
Yeah.
So, Brett took it upon himself to just kind of get me familiar with Caesar, and shortly after the conference we had a phone call. It was me, Kathleen, and Brett, and we went through just some rules, expectations, things like that, and I really knew at the end of that conversation that you guys were serious, you meant business, and I did the research I needed to do to make sure I really loved it. Just printed on some samples, and I was like, yeah, this is awesome. So that was the beginning of the Caesar relationship. And at that time, you guys, we weren't even selling regular solid colors in vinyl. We were only selling patterned, probably for about a year. And so when our solid sales, I know that, the name solid doesn't sit super well with the Caesar team, but that's the only
I know exactly what it should be.
Yeah, because of course it's Caesar. Of course it's Caesar. So Caesar solid. But now, we've seen our sales in that spike so much because now we carry almost the full line and we're adding, all the time. So that's been kind of a cool thing to see too, is your actual product that just because of how awesome you guys are and the beauty of it is, sells so wonderfully. That's one of those parts of my job that's just super easy. I don't have to convince people to buy the solid colors at all because they're just awesome. But that was the beginning, and that was in 2016. And then, so I'd say by like January of the next year, we were printing onto Caesar, and loved it. I've never been disappointed. I mean, it's so beautiful. The best colors ever that I've gotten is on your digital media, and I just love it. So it was a few years later that I was at, let's see, I think it was ISS, and I just happened to go to dinner with Caesar and I think it was Heat Transfer Warehouse, and we went to dinner, and it was at the table that Johan said, I think we should carry your patterns in Michael's. And because at that time you guys had already started selling, and I was just like, my mind was blown. I was like,
don't show your real feelings. Don't show it. That's awesome.
Yeah. And honestly, I didn't believe. I just thought, okay, well, maybe the pizza just tastes a little too good for eating.
The trade show pizza.
I was just surely not sure. And then sure enough, Johan took a chance, and we had a buyer from Michael's, Christine. I love her so much now.
Yeah, she's great.
And she attended the next All Things Silhouette, and they became more familiar with who we were. And she took one of my classes, and I was so nervous. I was like, Michael's is in my class right now at All Things Silhouette. And it just was seriously it was just amazing from there. And we just kind of haven't taken our foot off the gas.
No, we haven't. So how surreal is that, seeing your product in a Michael's store?
It's crazy. And the first rollout of vinyl was like, it was weird because like we had a set date, and I wasn't supposed to talk about it until the set date. And then it rolled out like 2 weeks earlier. And one of my customers found it and posted it, and people flipped out. They were like, what? Sparkleberry and Caesar at Michael's? Oh my gosh. So it is really crazy. And that's, I was actually approached by Michael's, so a year after our first rollout with you guys, I was approached by Michael's for this idea to do scrapbook paper. And I was like, this is I would love this. It would be a great idea. And so we went to Dallas, and my assistant and we sat at this table with 10 amazing women, and they laid out their plan. And it wasn't just scrapbook paper. It was an entire end cap at
really
at Michael's stores. And at the time, it was only supposed to be like 600 stores. But by the end of that meeting, they had decided that they wanted it in every single Michael's. And I just couldn't believe it. It just blew my mind. And it was just stuff that, you know, we weren't necessarily in that. We weren't in that like that segment.
Yeah, the pulse. You couldn't catch that pulse. Right.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
So wonderful.
That's awesome. So I want to know though, really quick, what's new? We know there's new stuff coming. We know that we got some things kind of ready to go here in the very near future. So let's talk about the new stuff at Michael's. Now that we're already on the Michael's.
And so it's totally okay, right? We can reveal these secrets.
If it's not,
if
we'll
it's
cut
not,
it out.
I'll call Christine after and ask her.
Yeah.
You know, she's actually, I don't know if you know this, but she's actually, they're still working remote. She's been up in New York for, I think, 3 weeks or so, and she extended her stay on. So we always have these meetings, and she's always, you know, you hear little birds in the background, and she's like, "Oh, I'm just sitting on the lake, you know, just enjoying a cup of coffee."
That's awesome.
That's got to be very nice and relaxing.
It's fake audio. It's like on the Golf Channel when they put the fake.
No, you can tell in her voice.
birds.
She is completely relaxed.
She just
We're
got a
panicked.
couple speakers behind her with birds in the background.
No, she's
That's
wonderful.
funny.
She's been great to work with. But yes, what's coming?
Okay, so the one thing that I'm really excited about is I was approached by Michael's about having exclusive patterns in the store, and I thought that was a really great idea because I know my audience is gonna like totally love it, and you know it's kind of like that bittersweet thing, like they can't get their hands on it only if they go, so they're gonna love that.
Yep.
So they came to me for that, and I threw in some patterns with so now I also design the patterns as well. I've taught myself and learned. I'm not nearly as good as Nani, but I've created some stuff that I'm proud of. So I sent them a collection of, you know, from both, and they actually chose 2 of my patterns to be their exclusive, and that's what so we're rolling out, I think in September, I believe.
It should be September.
So yeah, the adhesive line, so it's going to be the Sparkleberry Caesar PSV or Caesar
awesome.
Sparkleberry PSV, however you guys say it. But so we're going to have adhesive, and then also brand new patterns in HTV as well in September. So they're matching, and those patterns are, I don't know if they meant to release the little sneak peek of it in an email they sent out the other day to their customers, but they did. It was like cool. It was flashing on the screen. Also, so weird to see the name of my company in their subject line.
Right.
Email.
Right.
I was like, ah.
Yeah.
So anyway, they're beautiful, and you guys are just not going to believe. I think they're going to sell like hotcakes because they will be exclusive to Michael's, and then right after that, possibly at the same time, I don't know, Chad, you may know more about that, but the Christmas patterns, we're going to have exclusive Sparkleberry Christmas patterns at Michael's as well, and they are just to die for.
I knew about the Christmas patterns. I mean, obviously, you know more about it than I knew about the Christmas patterns.
I know about all of it.
I didn't know about
I'm just not disclosing anything.
I didn't know about the PSV. That's awesome.
You
heard it here first, people, an exclusive.
PSV, new HTV patterns. The Christmas patterns, I believe they'll probably go just like you said, just shortly after September. Give customers some time to buy it because obviously we don't want to launch December 12th. That does us no good. So we want to give people time to use it and play with it. And they are very, very cool patterns.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool. I like that a lot. Really quick, I want to hop into the subscription box. That's what I wanted to make sure that we touched on today. Talk about the subscription box. Obviously, you know, plug the heck out of it, but talk about the subscription box, where that even idea comes from, and like what is in it, you know, just for the audience.
Yeah, I guess it would have been a really good idea for me to have one here.
That's okay.
You have everything that you offer in the background right now, except for the subscription box. Shame on you.
I know, isn't that crazy? I have a stack of them over there. If you guys will give me a second, I'll go for
go
it.
grab it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine. We just do it like little cut 2 to the
You just do like the little fast.
yeah. That's funny.
All right. It's actually not like the whole thing, but I think between the two, I can pretty much cover it. But so our Sparkleberry box is something that I created 3 years ago because my customers would not be quiet about it. They wanted the subscription so much. I didn't personally want a subscription box because I would never want somebody to be receiving something on a monthly basis. I mean, I know so many people that get stuck in subscriptions and then they like on my windowsill above my sink, I have literally like 20 doTERRA bottles of oil because I consistently order the same thing every month, right? So I was like, I don't want Sparkleberry to leave a bad taste in anybody's mouth where they're just getting it. So one of my goals when I started it was making it super easy for people to go in and out of the program. And we have some people who have been in it since the very beginning, and it's so crazy. And then we have some people who will get it for a month, come back, a few months later and do it like that. So, but basically the subscription box is $39.99, and it has a 20% value on all of the products. So it's basically $50 plus of products. And of course we put Caesar in it. So I take our newest patterns, the ones that I'm most passionate about and excited about that have never before been seen. So that's where we roll out our patterns. And then we also coordinate it with the beautiful Caesar HTV so that they have everything they need. There's no guesswork. And then on top of that, they get 10 commercial use files for free from Sponser as a gift. And so they get that on top of that. Plus, I give them all of this inspiration, and we craft live on Tuesday nights with the subscription box. So
that's a great idea.
Yeah, it's so much fun. It's like everything full circle. I'm giving them everything. So it's very good for new crafters, but also advanced crafters enjoy it as well. But for new crafters, it's great because number one, it's always in this cute little white box, which is fun to decorate. And then we have our scripture stickers. We change these every month, and all the stickers have the patterns. Oh, I guess you probably can't
I see it. Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Right in the contour right there. Yeah.
Actually have the pattern that whatever the sticker has the pattern that we put in the box.
Okay.
So there's usually 7 different patterns in every box. You open it up, and then there's another pattern on the Sparkleberry sticker that's on the inside. And then, so it's like a thing every month. I have to design the inside, the outside stickers. Then every single, it has permanent adhesive as well as HTV. So we also label with the pattern that is in it with this, because that's one of the things is sometimes people don't know the difference between HTV and adhesive.
Yeah.
So we put an inventory sheet on there with some quick instructions, with the code that they use for their Sponser files, and just kind of a brief description of what they have. So we always have the transfer tape in there. So we have the Caesar application tape that we put in with the adhesive. It's just very important that they don't have to go out and get anything other than their blanks for their projects. And then we do the same thing for the HTV. So usually underneath the HTV or the adhesive, we'll have the HTV pack. And then like this particular one, I've already cut some of this, but this was a crowd pleaser. I've never seen them go so crazy for a pattern as they did with this one. And what's so cool is that if you're a subscription box member, you actually get all this stuff before anybody else gets access to it. So it's this exclusivity that's just really, and
that's fun. Is that the pattern you sent me yesterday?
Yeah.
I like that one. Yeah.
That's the tie-dye.
Yep.
Awesome. We also try to make sure that we are, just being aware of the holidays that are coming up. So they aren't super seasonal, but we'll throw in a seasonal in there so that we can have a seasonal project or two. But that's basically, it's just, we really want we just don't want, we're going to take all the guesswork out for them. And so we also put the glitter HTV, we print onto glitter HTV, and this is actually a scrap sheet, so it has a big line in it, but it's gorgeous. It's also a crowd pleaser. So that's always fun. And then we've just started recently, I've always put a freebie in it. It started with like a squeegee, and then it went up to like a lip gloss that has a Sparkleberry logo on it. And just recently we started putting like lapel pins. So now there's a collectible pin that you can only get as a member every single month. And this month's was the pineapple that says it's fine. And then last month's was, let me grab it for you. It was the very first month that we did the patterns. Did the pins, and it's really cute. So it's an actual Sparkleberry box.
Oh, I like that a lot. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a subscription box. I love it.
So the hope is to be able to fill up a lanyard or something like that, so that when you go to conventions like All Things Silhouette, you can recognize other box members.
I like that.
that has been a huge push. Like everybody, we had our record subscription member sales this month, and it's just so exciting to see people be so passionate. And it may be how awesome I've been, but it's also just probably how awesome the pens are. I wish I had the pineapple one for you to see.
We need one for Beatrice.
Yeah, we do need to put one on Beatrice.
Okay, you guys do need these pens.
We're gonna subscribe. I'm subscribing.
Couldn't believe that we oversold. No, I'll just send you guys one.
No, we want to use the corporate card.
Use the corporate card. We'll use the company card. No.
We oversold. I've never done this before. I usually always have enough of the freebies that we get, but this month we just blew our record out of the water.
That is awesome.
So I'm panicking a little bit because we had to rush order more pens, because I was like, no, we'll never reach that number, because I like to have extra of it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Mandy, two things I want to talk about there that I got to give you major kudos on. For one, I think it's awesome that you're offering everything in a box for, like you said, someone that's just starting up. The fact that you're offering files with this, as well as a live with it, as well as here's heat transfer, here's decal, everything to set you up.
Yeah.
Besides, like you said, the blank and the cutter, the garment and the cutter, I think that is awesome. It's an all-in-one box to here you go. We'll get you started. We'll provide you that education as well. And you've got physical content with the files. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
Number two, I like the fact that you're putting the design on decal or whatever it is that you're putting on those boxes, because a lot of times people will look at this design and they'll say, well, it looks great, but what do I do with it? So if they see like the little pineapple or something like that with the design actually inside of
inspiration.
It gives you ideas, it gives you inspiration, it gives you an actual visual of here's what it'll actually look like once I do something.
Yeah.
And another thing that I thought was really funny that you'd mentioned this, and we were going to talk about it last week, but we didn't hit on it, is I love the fact that you said, well, most people don't know not most people, but some people don't know what's the difference between HTV and adhesive and everything else.
Yeah.
And I think the reason is because as an industry, we all tend to call it different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So adhesive could be decal. It could be PSV, which is,
pressure sensitive
vinyl. Sticker. People still say sticker, and I used to say you can't say sticker because that means it's cheap.
Listen,
it's always decal.
Decal vinyl.
Slap you. But HTV, heat transfer vinyl. Yeah. Some people just call it heat transfer. Some people
call it iron on.
Iron on. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So I think that's really cool that you label it and everything else. So major kudos there. I think it's awesome.
Thank you. Sweet. Thank you. It's been a really cool process. In the beginning, my followers and customers, I could tell they really struggled. They would post their projects and stuff they would do with Pattern, but I could tell they weren't using it in the correct way, in my opinion, in the way that it was going to give it the most oomph. And with Pattern vinyl, as you guys know, it can be a challenge to make it look good.
Right.
If you don't use it in the right spot, like using too small of fonts or too thin of fonts, or even just avoiding the fonts if you can, unless you have really thick, chunky fonts.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was part of the process of teaching them, this is how we're going to use the beautiful vinyl.
Yeah.
And I wish that you guys could see the progression. I haven't decided to allow you in my box group yet. No, I'm just invite you guys in. We have this
We're buying it.
Community.
Yeah,
we have this great community on Facebook. This group is actually the best part of the box program. It's the most nurturing, wonderful, amazing, helpful ladies in that group, and I don't think I have any male box members currently.
We're coming. We're jumping in.
Put me in, coach.
All right. Okay.
Put me in.
You're gonna get to, if you could see how that group has grown though, they outdo me every month now. It's like I'll do one thing and then they will come back and put a spin on it and do something even better after watching me do it live.
Yeah.
And it's just been a beautiful, beautiful process. It is so much work though, you guys. I mean,
I can imagine.
Week, I barely sleep. I don't get to work on any other projects. Like it's a lot. Yeah. I'm still
just the packaging and labeling and all of that.
Yeah.
That's very taxing.
Yeah. And the only place that's big enough that we have 2 brick and mortars, but the only place big enough to do it is my basement.
Perfect.
So we still pack them in my basement. So
that's
I'm still
awesome.
Down there putting sheets,
staying humble.
Assembly line.
That's awesome. Cool. No, that is really, really, really cool. Before we wrap it up, usually we do a bunch of segments. I'm just going to stick to one because I've got to know.
Because I talk too much.
No, you've given us awesome content, but I've got to know on the tail end of this question is something I have to know from a personal standpoint. But I wanted to ask you. So we do a segment called "What's Your Favorite."
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you,
I was wondering what segment you were doing.
What is your favorite Sparkleberry product that you offer? And then I have a little bonus thing in there as well. But and not necessarily, it could be your favorite or could be what you're most proud of. So what is your favorite Sparkleberry product that you offer?
Honestly, the box is by far what I'm most proud of, and it's actually just like the foundation. I mean, it's pretty important to the business. I mean, not just to mention the revenue. I mean, it's really just helped everybody understand how to use pattern. Like,
I love that.
I just can't even believe that something I created was able to be this big. It's just so surreal.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was going to say I love that you created that, like you said, that Facebook community out of it too.
Yeah.
That's something that we talked about a couple episodes ago. Is everybody thinks that we're this crazy cutthroat industry, and but when you go to a trade show or you actually talk to people that are in different companies or even competitors, a lot of people are willing to share, not necessarily divulge information, but they're willing to share ideas
and their experience
and help. And I think that's awesome that you've created a group out of that too.
Yeah, they are amazing. Yeah. I can take no responsibility for the amazingness of that group. It's just the tribe that we have attracted has been just really blessed and beautiful.
That's awesome.
But the one product that I couldn't live without, and that I think Sparkleberry would be totally different if we didn't have it, is the patterned HTV. I do love decal vinyl. Decals are fun, but by far there is just something so satisfying about creating a beautiful pattern design on the Caesar digital media and then putting it onto a shirt and a great design. Like, it's just that's what I couldn't live without in my business.
Seems like there's a lot of pride that goes into that for you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's your design on a shirt, so it's not like just selling cut only vinyl or cut only heat transfer. It's literally your creation, and you get to see it in a different way of how did people have their vision with my product? You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of unique.
Exactly.
It's actually funny that he mentioned that, and that I mentioned your tie-dye, because that goes to our conversation yesterday. So, like, anybody that watches the podcast will see we always put up an infographic, right? And I like to say that I'm mildly creative for the most part.
You do okay.
For the very most part. So I always send the proof of the this is what the infographic, change anything, make sure the spelling's all right, all that stuff. And one thing that Mandy said is, I like it, I love it. Actually, I could probably read the text, says I hate it and you never do it. I'm not coming on anymore. No, I'm just kidding. She said, I like it, but can you put the tie-dye pattern in the background of it? And just like that attention to detail shows that every pattern that you create and everything that you do, and even what you whether it's people, it's products that you put around you, you have to feel good about and be passionate about, which goes earlier in our conversation. So, I mean, that's hats off to you on that, for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, cool. And I can't help it. I really, like, at first when you said that to me and you were like, what do you think? I was like, oh, maybe I should have just said it was perfect.
No, you should have told him to just say hot garbage. That's horrible.
Yeah. It was a great pattern. It was just a great pattern 3 years ago. So I was like, hey, let's.
So great
dated.
3 years. I'm dated.
It was a little dated, but it's still
awesome.
Beautiful. People still buy it and they love it.
That's
but,
great.
Yeah.
Okay, so that actually segues into my last question. I have to know this. What's your favorite pattern?
Oh, I have to say that by far, I mean, it's not even a struggle. Like, I feel bad because the patterns feel like my children. It's
right.
this
They're your
way of
creation.
looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Sparkleberry Vacay is, I believe it's everybody else's favorite too, for the most part. But this one, so this is one of the cups from Michael's. And to have Sparkleberry Vacay, it actually has sparkleberries in it.
Yeah.
Right there. And
I love it.
This is a little different than the actual vinyl one that we have, but the journals are like this. There are bags like this, little pencil pouches with this pattern in Michael's. And Sparkleberry Vacay, to me, it's tropical. It just makes me happy when I look at it. Plus, it has a sparkleberry in it, but it has all of my colors too, like the teals and the pinks, and the gold. Like in this they put gold. It doesn't have gold on the regular pattern, but there are gold flakes in this, and it's just like,
that's awesome,
gorgeous, so gorgeous. So by far, it's Sparkleberry Vacay.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because before I was asking you this question, I was looking on because I have most of the patterns that we use for Michael's, obviously, on my computer. And that was my favorite as well, was Sparkleberry vacay. So I wanted to give you mine too, but you stole my thunder. Sparkleberry vacay for the win. Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if I've ever been told by a male that that's their favorite.
It is.
The males are like, you have any camo?
Yeah, no. I know. I'm really showing off my masculinity here.
You got any red plaid? Yeah. That's awesome. Well, hey, listen, I really appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us and being our first out of office guest on the podcast. Like I said, we're trying to build this thing and make it into something that everyone can appreciate and everybody can learn from the behind the scenes of people in our industry. So I really, really do appreciate it. Feel free to plug anything and everything that you want right now.
Okay. Guys, buy Sparkleberry because we carry Caesar and there's literally no other better vinyl, I promise.
That's awesome.
I appreciate that. So you can find Sparkleberry Inc. on obviously on their website, sparkleberryinc.com. You can find them on Instagram, Facebook. Do you have Twitter too?
I do, but I'm not very active yet. But TikTok too. I love
TikTok.
TikTok. We're on TikTok. My cat's more famous than I am right now, though, so.
Yeah, how many hits did that video get?
The last I looked, it was at 1.4 million views.
1.4 million.
What's the TikTok handle, or is it how do you find yourself on TikTok?
Sparkleberry Inc. And that's INK. So and that's also our website, sparkleberryink.com. Michael's, go search Sparkleberry on Michael's and look at all that deliciousness because it is amazing. The coolest opportunity ever. Go do that.
That's awesome. Sure. And catch your lives on Tuesday nights, right?
Yep. Tuesday nights.
Perfect.
What about real quick before we wrap it up? We got to give your daughter a shout out on her YouTube video. What's that? Where can we find it?
She would kill me, first of all. She's so determined to do that herself.
Yeah.
And but hey, I'm gonna do it anyway because she'll never know. Cause she's probably not ever gonna watch this or listen to this because she's not super active with stuff Sparkleberry-ish.
Yeah, sure.
But Maple Rose is her YouTube name. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. Awesome.
She's gonna have 45,002 views.
I like that.
With us.
We're on it. Oh, I appreciate you hanging out with us. For anybody out there, obviously the Decorate Podcast, DECOR, the number 8. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook, social platforms, listening platforms. We're on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcast. You can find us on iHeartRadio now officially. Boop, boop, boop. Nice. Podbean, anywhere else that you can find us. Always comment, subscribe, make sure that you're listening in. Again, huge shout out to you, Mandy. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Thank you
guys so much. You have no idea how much of an honor this is. I love your podcast. I was listening to them all yesterday. I just think they're just amazing. So you guys have gotten off to a great start.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Means a lot. Yes. Well, hopefully we'll have you back on when the dust finally settles and you come back into town.
Yeah.
I'll be there. Don't worry.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. This was a wrap on this episode. Chad, we'll see you next time, man.
See you later.
All right. Love you guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.